Hello and welcome to this episode of the Game Plan Podcast by College Baseball Advisors. I'm your host, Wayne Mazzoni. My background is coaching college baseball 30 years, and now I'm a current college baseball recruiting advisor. For more information about what I do, please visit my website, collegebaseballadvisor.com. To get the newly created roadmap to college baseball, please visit go.collegebaseballadvisor.com/roadmap. Enter your email and you'll get it sent to your inbox. On today's episode, we had Tyler LaTorre, who's the head baseball coach at Pepperdine University in California. Really awesome guest, a lot of energy. You could just listen to this guy and gets you fired up for college sports, college baseball. Of course, we filmed this today, February 2nd, 2026. It's like 0 degrees around here in the Northeast, and it's 78 and sunny for his practice out there in Malibu. But we talked about his background growing up, really wasn't heavily recruited for or recruited at all for college baseball, wound up going to UC Davis and really trying out for the team, making the team, obviously having a good career because he played 10 years of professional baseball, 9 with the Giants, 1 with the Brewers, even spent some time playing for Team Italy in the World Baseball Classic and a variety of other things. But we then talked, of course, about his coaching experience, things, life at Pepperdine, what he's looking for in position players and pitchers, talked a little bit about the transfer portal, but all across, we talk about just kind of the characteristics of what he is looking for in running a program, about the culture. He talked about how the culture is an off the field thing, the standards that he wants on the field, and then how that leads to belief. And just really a great podcast. I always keep saying every podcast is one of the most fun ones I've done, and I think because they all are. I love talking to these awesome people, awesome baseball guys, but there's a lot of leaders and a lot of great people in leading teams in college athletics, and Coach LaTorre is one of them. So I really think you'll enjoy this. I'd like to remind you that the podcast is made possible through the sponsorship of the World Baseball Coaches Convention, which just took place in January. Going forward, every podcast will have a segment basically sponsored by them where I ask the college coach either lessons learned that he could pass on to future coaches, or as I did today, talking about lessons learned that he would like to pass on to young high school baseball players that are looking to play in college, and we covered that. So for more information on the coaches convention, you could visit baseballcoachesclinic.com. And without further delay, here is my conversation with Tyler LaTorre, head baseball coach at Pepperdine. All right, Tyler, first and foremost, I appreciate having you on. I know we're in February now, so that means college baseball season. And so taking time to join me means a lot. I will say that yesterday, as we confirmed today, was a miserable day here in the Northeast. It was like I like winter when it's sunny. Yesterday was like the end of the world. No sun, -0 with the real feel. And then I texted
Oh,
you. I go, "How is it out there in California?" And you replied, "High 70s for practice."
yeah.
So so I see you're outside in the sun today with shadows. So it must still be nice today too.
Thank you for having me, Wayne. And we're definitely blessed out here in Southern California. It's another day in the 70s here. I know that there's a lot of chatter all across college baseball about pushing the season back, the start date back, and as it pertains to all of the other schools across the country having to start their season or start their practice indoors. Um, you know, we get to practice year round outdoors. And our pitchers get to throw outside, shorts and a t-shirt, some days. Yesterday we played 7 innings, and guys were sweating outside, and it's just honestly, we sometimes I have to remind our players not to take it for granted, the opportunity that they get to do, um, to have to play outdoors. I've been at a few Division I schools where we've had those northern schools come to play us opening weekend, and that's the first time that they've been on a field, playing. And they're Thursday before opening day, they're in a full practice, pop up priority, and uh,
Right.
cuts and relays, and doing all those things because they've been indoors, and preparing, as best they can, but at the same time, just making sure our guys are aware that this is a blessing for sure.
So I'm going to ask you a ridiculous question to start, and then I'm going to
No
go
problem.
through the normal way that I do this. But like,
Sure.
it seems for us East Coasters and anyone in not the great weather, you're out there in Malibu at Pepperdine. You can
Yeah.
look at the ocean. You got a great field. Like, is anything stink about like like your life? Is your life as good as it seems from this side of the computer, or no?
I can't complain about going to the office every day. I'm sitting in our first base dugout right now. Um, Division 1 rules now have rules that you have to have padded walls, and we have padded walls all across our outfield wall. We strategically put one, two, three, four, five, six, seven parts of that wall are chain link, and then obviously the poles are padded. But through those seven chain link, you can see the ocean from this dugout. Um, we have palm trees, we have sun, we have gorgeous views, we have mountains behind us. Um, we have probably not probably we have the one of the best universities in the world, and it's not just because of the athletic side, but we have a high academic standard here. Our athletic department is off the charts, and it's not just a few of the sports. Our men's and women's volleyball are standard top 10 in the country every year. Men's and women's tennis are both top 15 right now. Women's soccer, back-to-back WCC championships. Uh, Men's and women's golf are, top 10 in the country right now. So, we have a high standard of excellence both on and off the field here. And then you add in the faith-based aspect. So we have it all here. And we want everybody to know that a place like Pepperdine, it's not just for someone who has been to church every single day of their life. We have players that are all across that spectrum, and wherever you are in that journey, you are taken for who you are and where you are. And as long as you are growing in your faith and you are open to questions and answers and just growing in your faith, you have all the resources here available to you to grow as a follower, to grow as a student, to grow as an athlete. And it's really exciting to be a college coach here, especially for the baseball team, because I get to be a part of that 18 to 22-year-old experience that will set a foundation for our student athletes for the next 40, 50 years of their life. And that's why I coach college. So getting back to your original question is my waking up in the morning, I get excited to come to work every day, no matter if we have a a weekend where we sweep somebody, no matter if we've gotten swept. I get to come to work on Monday, and I have the privilege and the honor to lead this program to impact the lives of the members of this program.
It's well, beautifully well said. And I definitely want to revisit and unpack a little more about the
Great.
school and the way you run things in your style. But I do want to go back to a little bit of your
Yeah.
beginning. Are you're born and raised in California?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Northern California in Santa Cruz, just about an hour south of San Francisco on the coast. Um, Both my parents were in education. My grandfather was an athletic director, and so my father was an athletic director at my high school. He was a coach of baseball and football and all of it because he was an athletic director. So I was a kid that was the ball boy and the bat boy and all of that. So I grew up in a huddle. I grew up in a locker room, and you have those moments where you think to yourself, and you hear coaches speak, and you see student athletes respond to coaching, and you see the success happen because of it, and you want to be a part of it. And so I got to live that as an athlete, and then you see yourself as an athlete come to an end, and you try to figure out what you're going to do after that, and then you look back on your time as an athlete, and you think, man, I want to be a part of other athletes' success. And so that's why I coach college now. So I went to UC Davis after high school. So I, Northern California through and through. Um, I had a little bit of a different different path. I went to UC Davis just to go to school. And that's when UC Davis was Division II.
Right.
The head coach was had been there for over 50 years. That was back when rosters were unlimited. So there was a 2-day tryout before school started. Back then, UC Davis had about a week where freshmen moved into the dorms. They had like orientation and kind of getting settled into UC Davis, and there was a 2-day tryout. And after the first day, there was about 100 and 120 other baseball players out there. And I called my dad after the first day, and I told him, I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't know if baseball is going to be, this might be the last day of last 2 days of baseball. And of course, any father would tell their son is, just go do what you do well, play your hardest. And that's what I did. And for some reason, the coaching staff at UC Davis saw something in me that I didn't even know I had.
Mm.
And that's why I coach college. I want to be able to see something in players that they don't even know that they see in themselves. And I was just given an opportunity. And that's what most of everybody needs. You just need an opportunity. And you need to make the best about those opportunities, and you need to be prepared for them. But all you need is that one opportunity. And so I took that opportunity, and I ended up redshirting. We got a new coach my redshirt freshman year. And that coach gave me a book, and that book was Heads Up Baseball. And Heads Up
Yep.
Baseball changed my life. If you would have seen me play in high school, if you would have seen me play those first couple years of college, you would have never guessed I would have had a 10-year professional career. But I wasn't the fastest, I wasn't the strongest, I wasn't the biggest power hitter, I wasn't the 5-tool player. But Heads Up Baseball allowed me to use my mind and allowed me to use my skill set to be an extension of the coach on the field. Allowed me to prepare myself to be the best I could be in the batter's box, and to be the best resource as a catcher for my pitchers. And so I used that and continued to get better each and every year, so that when we made the transition from my freshman year to my sophomore, junior, and senior year of going to Division I, and going to the Big West back then was the heyday of the Big West. And now we're getting back to Big West baseball, being back to those really really good Big West years. But the reason why I got an opportunity to play pro ball is that 2006 year, my senior year, it seemed like every single weekend there was a staff of 2 to 3 projected top 5 picks. And so scouts were coming to see those players and those pitchers pitch, and I was the one getting hits, and I was the one that was leading our pitching staff. So I signed for a plane ticket to go
Hold on.
play.
Let me hold
Yeah,
you up 1 second,
yeah,
because there's too many things to unpack here. So
you got it.
I made a note of several of them.
Yeah,
My first question, back to your high school days.
yeah,
You look like a pretty strong guy. Did you play football?
I did football, basketball, baseball.
So 3 sports, first of all, which is great.
Yep.
Secondly, you mean to tell me either A, you didn't get recruited at all, or slash didn't think you wanted to play college sports?
I always wanted to play. I got some letters to play, Division III football and play junior college football. I was, I love football was my favorite sport. There's nothing better than Friday night football.
Totally. Totally.
And so, but baseball was always my passion because I thought the game, and I was always, drawn to the game of baseball, and playing the game. But I was good at baseball. But I didn't have the tools. And I was a late bloomer. So I was a left-handed hitting shortstop that didn't have much range. I had a strong arm because I played quarterback at football. And so my senior year of high school, our catcher didn't make grades. And so we didn't have a catcher. So I went back behind the plate, and I went from a shortstop that didn't have much range and had good hands to now being able to catch and throw and being a left-handed hitter.
Yep.
Anybody you talk to in baseball, left-handed hitting catcher that can be a quality backstop, you're gonna stay in the game a long time. So I think going to I did not get recruited, to answer your question. I think the coaching staff at UC Davis knew about me because back then there was no travel ball, but
Right.
I did go to an academy called Aldretti Baseball in Monterey. And so Rich Aldretti called UC Davis to say, "Hey, there's a player coming. He's already enrolled in school. Just a heads up." So I wore my Aldretti baseball T-shirt during that tryout. So
Veteran move.
you do those things to try to stick out. And just I was trying to make sure that I was seen in a sea of 100 players out there on the baseball field. But you in hindsight, you put yourself in a position to make sure that you have that opportunity. But I was in a small pond in Santa Cruz, California. There was no travel ball teams over there. I always went over to San Jose to play in the summertime. There was passing leagues for football, but I always went over to play with the bigger teams of Bellarmine High School and Mitty High School and St. Francis and Sarah. Those were the bigger baseball programs. There wasn't anything on our side of the coast. So
So it's pretty awesome though. Like here it is, all these years later, all the experience you had in pro ball, all the coaching, head coach at Pepperdine, and like possibly none of that maybe happens if you don't. Obviously, you were good enough, but like, man, you could have gone to that tryout at UC Davis and they could have just completely overlooked you.
100%,
And yeah, exactly right. By
100%.
the way, as a longtime disgruntled, frustrated New York Jets fan, one of my all-time favorites went to UC Davis. That's Ken O'Brien. I don't know if
Ken
you
O'Brien.
Ken O'Brien.
And just so you know, I'm a
Yeah.
Jets fan too.
Woo!
So we're in it together. I grew up loving Drew Bledsoe and Curtis Martin, and then obviously Curtis Martin got traded over to the Jets, and so I liked Wayne Corbett and Vinny Testaverde, and so I've been a Jets fan ever since, and so I've never lost faith, and so hopefully we're going to turn a corner here in the next couple of years. So
Agreed. But the last thing before we get back to you,
sure,
heads up baseball, it's so important. I think in this modern world of development for younger kids, there's a lot of good things going on, right? We know how to get kids to throw harder, to be stronger, to have more eggs
correct,
velo, et cetera, et cetera. But while there are more resources for the mental side of the game, it still definitely trails the physical side. And
correct.
good for you. That book, that coach probably gave that book to a lot of people, but you took it and read it and applied it. And I can't emphasize, I mean, that's the part of my college coaching that I miss. I coached 30 years. That mental side,
Hmm.
especially as a pitching coach, where like you would have two guys pitch in the game and they felt great about themselves because we won a game, the starter and the guy that came in, but four guys were pissed off in the bullpen because they didn't get
Yep,
their outing that they expected or whatnot. So the
yep.
mental side of the game is really the enjoyable part.
Amen, amen.
Let's go to your minor league career. So you sign
Yep,
with the Giants. Now here it is. Everything's still California for you, right? So the Giants
correct.
pick you up. Obviously, you had the skills
Yep,
and you made a great point. They're coming to see
yep.
these legit arms and you're getting base hits as a lefty and you're receiving well. You spent what, almost 10 years in pro
Yeah,
ball?
yeah.
Woo.
9 years with the Giants, and then my last year in 2015 was with the Brewers.
Okay. And tell me, I mean, it's hard for me to ask you one question to recap
Yeah,
10 years, but like,
yeah.
did you always think, hey, I'm going to keep moving up? I got a chance to be a big leaguer? Or did you say, man, I just love learning and being around the guys? Like, how did you approach it? Did it change during your time doing it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think it's a little bit of both. I never stopped believing that I belonged in the big leagues. And I think that's what drove me every single day. Obviously, being a free agent sign, you're always going to have those first, second, third rounders in front of you. So I was always a backup, but I never stopped working harder than the guy in front of me. So you never know when your opportunity is going to come. You
Yep.
never know when there's going to be a foul tip off of a toe and you're in there for a week. And you never know when there's going to be when you're up in AAA and there's an injury down in AA. And so I never allowed myself to become complacent and become, I never wanted there to be an opportunity that was given to me. And I always made the excuse, well, I haven't played in a week, or I didn't, I didn't play for a month, or I'm only playing once a week. That's why I'm not hitting. I always wanted to put myself in the headspace of I need to outwork everybody, because I did believe that if I was going to be given an opportunity, I did belong in the big leagues. And so that that chip on my shoulder of I'm going to continue to prove people wrong, the people that in my hometown that didn't believe I could go on and play college baseball, the people that said I could never play professional baseball, the people that said I could never make the big leagues, that always pushed me and drove me. And I was so competitive, that it didn't allow me to let the negativity of and the failure part of how hard baseball is, it never creeped into my mind. And so I always allowed myself to just continue to push harder, 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 because I never wanted someone to take the jersey away from me. I
Mhm.
always wanted to make sure that it was on my terms, and I was going to be okay if I did it my way.
I know we talked about this before I hit the record button, and I'm wondering if this was in the time frame before you. So obviously with the Giants Brewers, we know on the other side you got into coaching.
Yeah.
Where did playing on the Italian teams in
Yeah.
Italy, where did that fit
Yeah.
into all this?
Yeah. So in 2008, there was a World Baseball Classic, and one of our lower level minor league managers was Tom Troublehorn, um, an awesome mentor of mine, a baseball guy through and through. He was the bench coach for that 2018. He came back in spring training, and he came to me and he said, "Hey, do you know about your lineage? Are you Italian? Like what, like," and it sparked. And I did the investigating. And so I ended up getting my dual citizenship. I ended up being a part of the Italian national team, while I was still playing minor league baseball. So I got to play in a World Cup. I got to play in a European Championship. I got the huge opportunity to play in the 2013 World Baseball Classic. Um, and those opportunities to play for a country, to play for something that was bigger than just playing in a tournament. Minor league baseball, um, is very individual because everybody's
Of
trying to
course.
make the big leagues. And
Yep.
so when you play for something as a team, when you play for a manager, who's getting, sometimes you get a team together for 4 or 5 days and you have to go play together and go try to win a championship. It happens like that. And so, it was I use it now to try to bring our players together. And so those experiences really helped cultivate that.
That's really, really neat. It's funny being Italian, going to Italy a lot. I'm really still not in touch with like baseball's still a very much growing sport in the country as a whole, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a soccer country.
Yes, exactly. No question. Um,
Yeah.
I assume as you were in the minors and even doing the Italian thing, did you at that point realize, hey, I love baseball, I love working with people, coaching is going to be my path when I stop playing? Did you know that at that point?
Yeah, the Giants always came up to me, throughout my career and wanted to know, I think being an organizational player, being able to, be an extension of the coach on the field. There was always roving instructors, and the manager, the pitching coach, and the hitting coach at your affiliate. They pick up on those things. So I was always asked, when I wanted to get into coaching. Pro ball was never something that I wanted to get into because you're always just given the players.
Right.
I was really interested in recruiting and building deeper relationships with players.
Great
Um,
point.
and so, anytime that I went into an off season, there was a few off seasons where I actually lived back in Davis, and so I like trained, and worked out back at UC Davis. And it was just something I was drawn to. I was drawn to the relationships I had with my college coaches. both my head coach and my my pitching coach from UC Davis, they were both invited to my weddings.
Mm.
They had a huge impact on who I am as a man today. And so that was really something that resonated with me. And so as I continued to go through my minor league career, that was always in the back of my mind on, when this is over, college coaching was something that I wanted to do. And so when I got to that end of that 2015 season with the Brewers, a good friend of mine who was the assistant coach at UC Davis, and I rented a room from him for a couple off seasons. He got the head coaching job at San Francisco State, a Division II school, and he called me and said that he had just gotten the job, and that he wanted me to come and at the Division II level, it's a head coach and a one full paid position. And so it was me and him together.
Mm.
And so he was the head coach and I was the pitching coach, recruiting guy and all of it. It was just us two. And so, I got right into it. Started building relationships on the recruiting side, started building relationships on the player development side. And I knew that was my calling. I knew that that level of relationships with players, that's what I wanted to do.
So San Francisco State was the first job, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then I know you were at Sacramento. Was it Sacramento State and
Yep.
San Jose State?
Yeah, I went San Francisco State for 2 years, 2 years at San Jose State, and then to Sac State before I got that head coaching opportunity at Westmont College up in Santa Barbara.
So let's talk about Westmont because
Yeah,
obviously you had a ridiculous experience there, won an
yeah,
NAIA World Series, which I
yeah.
looked at some of the video and checked that. I mean, you won the final game 7-6. Like in all your baseball career, was that one of the highlight moments of taking a team to that level?
You just gave me goosebumps.
Nice.
And it's something that you know, as a coach, people dream of. But more importantly to me, that group of players, um, it's more special to me for the players.
Mm.
Um, and the crazy part is that I'm in my first year of being a head coach. Um, earlier in that World Series, championship run, we have a 1,000 game winner coach that I exchange lineups with. There's a 1,600 career game winning coach that I'm coaching against, and it's more of a David versus Goliath for on the coaching side. And I never felt nervous.
Mm.
It was because I knew our players were prepared. And I was just making sure that we had the right guy on the mound at the right time. And I knew that the players um, believed in each other and believed in my abilities to put them in positions to succeed. Whether we won it or not, our players believed that no matter the outcome, that they were prepared to succeed, even if they didn't. And to have a group of players so bought into each other, um, we could have lost that final game and they would have loved each other and they would have known that I loved them so deeply that nothing could have come between them. And so you say that it was a 7-6 ball game, and I don't think they even knew what the score was. I
Mm.
think that they were just playing, they were playing the game that they were playing as if it was game one of the season. And it was
Right.
really something that was exciting. Um, but I will never forget that final out and looking into the dugout at our pitching coach, who's now our pitching coach here at Pepperdine, and the look on his face, I will never forget of it was a look of achievement, astonishment, and we hugged, and it was just something that we knew that we had accomplished something because it was our last game of the NAIA. I knew how hard the previous head coach had worked to build that program to what it was, and he was the athletic director that hired me.
Mm.
So I was taking over for him in the program that he had continually built. 10 years prior, they were going to drop the program, and he had stepped in and rebuilt that program. And knowing that we were going from NAIA to Division II, he wanted to take in a role of being athletic director and hiring the next guy that was going to take what he had built and move it forward.
Yeah.
And those players believed in him and hiring the right guy. I felt like I was the right guy to take the next step forward. And we did that. And it was something that I know our players will never forget. But, even though, I was with some of those seniors for only 1 year, I've already been to like 3 of their weddings since. And so, I think the impact that we have as a coach, you never really know until, years after. And so that's really, really cool. And I'm thankful I'm not sitting here today talking to you as the head coach at Pepperdine without those players believing in each other, buying into the day in and day out practice of excellence and accountability that they were giving each other.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, at Westmont, it's your first head coaching job. Now you're here at Pepperdine. We kicked it off a little bit talking about Pepperdine. I think, again, here I am in the East Coast. I don't think you could say Pepperdine to anyone here and they don't know how great the place is. It's a well-known
Right.
place. But I wanted to ask you, in that first head coaching job or now, or even when you were an assistant, regardless,
Hmm.
you strike me as a very genuine, like, first of all, you could tell you love baseball. I could tell you love life and you care about the guys. Do you have a particular way you try to create a culture or lead your team, or is it Tyler being Tyler and the guys just follow suit?
Yeah, I think as an assistant coach, I had my ups and downs of learning. I had um, a head coach at San Francisco State that we were together for 2 years. He was a first time head coach. We learned a lot together. I went to San Jose State where I was with a head coach that and ultimately got fired after 3 months. So I was the only one on staff. Our pitching coach took a job with the Dodgers in the fall. Head coach gets fired. So there was a lot of adversity there. An interim coach comes in. We get to the conference tournament for the first time in a really long time. There was a really high. I go to Sacramento State. Sacramento State is one of the winningest programs on the West Coast. And so I get to work for Reggie Christensen, and I learned so much from him, not only on the gameplay side, but also on just how stoic he is. He's not an outgoing personality, but when he talks, the players listen.
Mm,
And so we balance each other out really, really well. But there was a time where I felt like I was coaching differently because I felt like I was coaching to the way that he wanted me to coach. And so I was not genuine to myself.
mm,
And so getting that opportunity at Westmont, I really took a step back and said, okay, I'm going to coach and be genuine to who I am. And in part, I want to instill who I am so that the players know who I am every single day.
mm.
And if I am who I am, the players will then follow suit.
Right.
Getting to your point about culture, because culture is such a big topic, not only in baseball and sports, but all around us.
Sure.
I believe that culture is something that is off the field. Culture is something that is instilled in the players in their dorm room, in
Mm,
their apartment, in the clubhouse, the way that they are in the classroom and in their community. It's the way that they carry themselves. And it's something that they have to hold on to. It's not something that's written on a sign. It's not something that is written in a text. It's something that is felt every single day when they walk into the park. That is, they create. Now, as a head coach, I feel like I'm the guardrails to that. The guardrails on the freeway, and sometimes there's construction and it has to get really narrow and slow it down. And for instance, on that 2023 national championship team, we had gotten to a point where we are 5 lanes and we are
right.
going 75 miles an hour
Yeah.
because the culture was set. The players knew the expectations, and they were, it was just making sure that we were going straight ahead.
Yeah.
I come to Pepperdine, and there's a great tradition here, but there was a lot of things that needed to be restructured on the culture side. So we are now slowly starting from last year in a really narrow area, and we're slowly starting to widen the freeway. Um, on the other side of culture, I think there's standards, and the standards are what you see out on the field, and it's what you allow. The standards are what you allow out on the field. So if you allow for players not to communicate to each other, to not hold each other accountable, to allow for bad body language, to allow for those little things that everybody talks about, the little things. When little things start to slip, now all of a sudden you see the standard drop, and then you see the culture in the clubhouse and off the field start to deteriorate. So you have to have those two things ironed out. But when you get those two things put together, that's when you get something special. And so we are trying to create a culture and a standard and now meet those two things together. And I think that year two here was mostly about getting the right players on the bus. And it's nothing against the players that were here before. Obviously, I have a vision and an understanding of what I want this program to look like. And now it's about having the right players on the bus, and it's about putting those players in the right seat on the bus to succeed. And so you do that and you see the success start to stack up, and you just continue to stack day after day after day. And the players start to feel that. And that's when belief starts to happen. And belief is the ultimate. Belief is the top layer to this whole thing. And we're working towards that every single day.
I'll give you credit, probably the best answer I've ever heard about the way things should be. Like, I love I love what you said, that culture is off the field. It's absolutely crucial, right? You could say what you want about on the field stuff, but now you're in an airport and people are being idiots and being rude to girls or whatever it might be.
Yeah,
Like, then what kind of culture do you really have? You don't have a culture,
correct.
right? And
Correct.
and to standards, you're right. There's so many little things that a lot of times it's just really human nature. It's easier to let them slide, but when you don't and you call it out, and because everyone sees it, when everyone
Yeah,
sees when one kid threw his helmet, if no one addresses it, the entire team sees the helmet being thrown. When you say that's not happening around here, the standard has changed, right? So
correct.
I absolutely love, the way you put that. It's really fantastic.
Thank
I
you.
do want to ask you a couple things specifically about recruiting in two
Yep.
different ways,
Okay.
because obviously you said getting the right players on the bus. The first thing I'll ask you is, let's talk about what you're looking for, but not even knowing these humans yet. Like, because that's going to be the second question. If you
Sure.
have five kids of equal skill level, then I'm sure there's things you're looking for that you want in the program. But do you have
Correct.
anything in particular that you and your staff are looking for, pitching wise, position player wise? It could be versatility. Do you value
Yep.
speed? Do you value pitchability? Is there anything that you say is your way that you're looking from a
Yep.
skill standpoint?
Yeah. Um, Great question. On the position player side, versatility is always going to be paramount, especially with the 34-man roster coming. We obviously have designated student athletes that are allowing us to go
Yes.
above 34 right now. But we are looking for players that are versatile, and stay up the middle of the field. That's first and foremost: catcher, pitcher, shortstop, second base, center field. But I think when we're looking at players, we want players that are going to be dynamic enough to do two things. One, you have to be able to hit a double,
Mm.
and that's on the offensive side. So a double is going to mean something different to so many different players. A double to a third baseman might be hitting the ball off the wall.
Right.
A double to a left-handed hitting power first baseman is hitting a homer, and that's two doubles.
Right.
Um, a center fielder that can go get it in center field, a double to him might be taking advantage of the third baseman playing two steps behind the bag, laying down a drag bunt, and then reading a ball in dirt and getting to second base.
Right.
Same thing with the second baseman that can really pick it. He's on first base and he understands that the right fielder's playing a little shallow. Blooper to right field. He doesn't miss a beat. He goes first to third. So waves doubles are different than just a double. And
Right.
so we are looking for players that are going to be dynamic enough to hit doubles, because we play here in Malibu where left field is out towards the ocean and the wind blows in from left field.
Right.
So do we play? I think this field is playing a little bit more neutral than it has in the past. But there's going to be days where the ball's not going to be going out of the yard.
Right.
And so we got to be able to still score runs. There's going to be times where the wind's blowing in. We're going to be facing a first rounder. And if we just have a team full of power hitters, we're not going to win that day.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, like our conference tournament before this year, we're going to Scottsdale this year because of a conflict in Vegas. But in the past years, we've been playing in Las Vegas at the AAA ballpark. The wind is howling out and it's 90 degrees and you've got to be able to win 15-16. And so you've got to be able to still hit the ball out of the yard. So
Right.
you've got to be multidimensional and your offense has to travel. And so you can't just have a bunch of speedsters out there and you can't just have a bunch of boppers. You've got to be able to, have both of those. So when we're out recruiting position players, we're looking for that. The other thing is, where we're at as a program, like we want players that are going to help us beat USD and Gonzaga and St. Mary's. So they either got to be dynamic enough to hit those doubles that we're looking for, and have the plate discipline to do, get on base, or they have to look like they're going to help us beat those top teams in our conference. I mean, we're a one big league right now. So we want to beat those teams in the conference tournament. We want to get to the conference tournament. At some point, we're going to be recruiting against teams like UCLA, USC, UC Santa Barbara, UC Irvine. It's already started. We're winning those recruiting battles. So we want players that are going to help us beat those teams. If we're going to a regional, we're going to be going to the UCLA regional. We're going to be going to the Stanford regional. We're going to be going to the Oregon State regional. We need players that are going to help us beat those teams. So that's what we're looking for. And that's where we kind of set the bar, and then we dig into the character. We dig into the grades. We dig into the who raised them as their parents. We call their high school coach. We call their rival high school coaches. We want to know their competitiveness. We want to know how things are going when things are going great, when things aren't going so great. What happens when there's a bad call by an umpire? What happens when they're 0 for 4 4Ks? Are they still playing defense? Defense is really important to me. And base running is really important to me. So the hitting's great, but when he gets a base hit, does he just stand there at first base and not really, how does he react to his teammates in the dugout? So that's on the position player side. On the pitching side,
let me ask you just one quick question.
Go ahead.
Which was beautifully explained. I'm just curious because you mentioned it, because now after coaching 30 years, I'm advising kids on recruiting. And I tell a lot of kids, if you're that center fielder that you described or that second baseman and you're a good defender and you run well, but you don't mash the ball, if you don't know how to base hit bunt, you're losing out on a huge opportunity to not only help your team win, to get recruited. And I think it's being a little lost. Maybe it's indoors in the Northeast or exit velo focused. But is that someone dropping a bunt a legit skill? Does that get you interested?
1,000%. Like knowing the game of baseball is the baseball IQ is starting to diminish. Yeah. And so, if we can take advantage of every opportunity to win baseball games, hitting is about run production. When you're a hitter, it's not about hitting. It's about scoring runs.
Right.
How can you help your team win a baseball game right now? How can you, if we're in the bottom of the ninth inning and we've got a runner on third and one out and the infield's in, like you have to know that you can't hit a ground ball here and you can't strike out. Right. So now, can we think about the negatives? Yes, but I want a hitter in there that's looking for a pitch that he can drive to the outfield and knows that, it's very similar to a golfer. Like you have to have all those different golf clubs in your bag. Sometimes you're going to need your driver. Sometimes you're going to need your putter.
Right.
Sometimes you're going to need to drop down that bunt and use your putter. Sometimes you're going to need your lob wedge to get it up over the top of the infield. And so having those weapons in your golf bag is really important. And for a player, knowing who you are and having self-awareness on who you are is going to make you appealing to a college coach, not only at the Division I level, but all levels of college baseball.
Absolutely.
We have from from my national championship team on the 2023 team, we have 4 players from that team here at Pepperdine.
Right.
They are going to start for us at the Division One level. So whether you're playing NAIA baseball or Division One baseball, like you can play at all levels if you can play the game and you have self-awareness enough on how you impact the game. Baseball is great in that. You don't have to be the biggest, fastest, strongest to play Division One baseball. If you can have the self-awareness to know how you impact the game and how you can win us a ball game, that's all you need to know. And
Right.
so if you can do that, go be who you are. Go and win a ball game for your team. And we want winners. That's something I was going to get to on the recruiting side. We're recruiting from winning programs.
Mm.
When we go to the portal, I'm sure we're going to talk about the portal this summer. We have 21 new players on this roster. We have 11 freshmen and 10 transfers. Every transfer we brought in was from a winning program. We have two junior college transfers. One transfer was from West Valley College 2 years ago. They won the state championship. Last year they lost in the championship.
Mm.
We have a catcher from Santa Barbara City College. He was at UC Santa Barbara, obviously a winning program, and then played at Santa Barbara City College. Lost in the second round of the state championship, the state tournament.
Right.
We have players from UC Santa Barbara. We have a player from USC who pitched in a regional last year. We have 3 players from Westmont who lost in a regional at the D2 level last year. So like we're recruiting from winning programs. On the high school side, same thing. Like we want players from winning high school programs. We want people that know how to win. Because when you learn how to win, you don't lower your standard.
Yeah. Right.
So it all encompasses self-awareness is number one. How can you help us win a ball game today?
Beautifully said. Go ahead. What the pitcher side now?
So on the pitching side, we want 2 things. All right. So we want arms on the clock. Okay. So we want a pitcher here. 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 We want a pitcher here, here. Last year we had a bunch of pitchers that were all the same. So if I went to the bullpen, I was bringing in the same guy, just a little fresher.
Right.
So we want an array of arms on a clock. So when we go out and recruit, we're very, very much so trying to get different looks. On the other side of that, we're looking for outliers. We want swing and miss inside the strike zone. So when we're recruiting high school players, it's great that you have a breaking ball that you throw in the dirt every time and high school hitters swing and miss. But how many swings and misses are you getting your fastball inside the strike zone? How many swings and misses are you getting inside the strike zone with your breaking stuff? I was a pitching coach before I became a head coach. So what does our pitching coach do well? So as a pitching coach, I always felt like I could develop a changeup really well. So if we had a pitcher that could command the fastball and throw a good breaking ball, I felt like once he got here, I could develop a changeup. So our pitching coach now does a really good job with developing all of it. He's really good at both the old school and the new school of data. So we feel like we can develop at a high level here on the pitching side, but we need to have that criteria of, okay, where are you on your release? Okay. And are you getting swings and misses in the strike zone? And then now we can dig deeper. How do the players play behind you?
Right.
How do players react to you when you walk off the mound? I had a very interesting story. I'm in Fresno, California. I'm watching a pitcher. He's a really good pitcher. I've been watching him all summer, and he gives up 6 or 7 runs that day. Couple errors behind him, a couple bad calls by the umpire, and his grandfather sitting behind home plate. And his grandfather turns to me and goes, "Oh man, I really wish you weren't here to see this." And I said, "Sorry, sir. This is the best game I could have come watch because the way that he's handling this is exactly what I wanted to see. Because there's going to be times where things aren't going your way and he's handling himself perfectly because he's not shying away from the strike zone and he's asking for the ball and he's getting back up on the mound. And when he gets back to the dugout, he's firing up his offense to go get him some runs. And he runs right back out to the mound after giving up a 5 spot and he's pounding the strike zone. So you want to see all those things. And then you call the rival high school coach and you see, oh, we do not want to face that guy. As soon as we show up to the ballpark and we see that he's starting against us, we are like, we are in for it because
Right, right.
He's competitive. He holds runners. He fields his spot. And now all of a sudden, now you got the total package, and that's what we're recruiting.
I love something you said in there, which I think is huge. Obviously, this guy had stuff, and you knew you liked him, so you were happy to see him fail because you had an opportunity to see how he handled it. But you brought up something that one of the best pitchers I ever coached in college. You won't know his name, but it's Troy Scribner, and he was an undrafted free agent out of Sacred Heart, and he made the big leagues, right? So think about how many undrafted free agents make the big leagues.
I faced Scribner.
You
I
did?
faced Scribner in the minor leagues. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's hysterical, dude.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
hysterical. So, even Troy came in throwing 82. He left throwing 88, 90. Never had velo,
Yep.
but he had a big set. Yeah, and he had pitchability exactly. But he pitched for me in the live bat era, and he would give up some of the biggest home runs you've ever seen. And he would actually look at them and like chuckle, like, wow, look at that ball. And then he would carve the next guy to pieces.
Yep.
And so many times we see a guy give up a bomb and then he walks a dude on 4 or 5
Pitch
pitches
walk.
because he
Yep.
now doesn't trust anything again. So, like,
Correct.
I knew he had it when he would give up a bomb. So he would get an out, give up a bomb, and then K the next two. And there you go.
Yep.
Just to your point there. All right,
Correct.
final two questions. I don't generally get into the portal a lot because I think it's kind of obvious. The reality is, I think college coaches would love to get high school guys, but the reality is, if you know you have a deficiency that you need to fix quickly, catcher for whatever reason, right? You're going to want to
Yeah.
get a proven college guy rather than a high school commit who A is not going to be there quick enough, and he's probably not going to be ready to beat UCLA in a regional his freshman year. So,
Correct.
unless there's something specific that you want to add about how you view the portal, I think I don't know if it's worthy to unpack. Is there anything you wanted to talk about specifically in that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important. I think it's important to know what is going to work for Pepperdine. And Pepperdine is a school academically that we can't even bring in 1 year left of school.
Right.
So it's important for us to know that, Pepperdine holds its degree at a high level. We can't bring
Oh,
in
yeah.
someone that has 2 semesters left and we give out a Pepperdine degree.
Got
So
it.
we feel, and I'm thoroughly in this ballpark of we are going to build this through high school players. And you're exactly right. There's going to be a time where we need a need and we're going to go get it via the transfer portal or junior college, a
Right.
transfer.
Yep.
It's not going to be something where, Murray State is bringing in 20 transfers, 21 transfers every single year and only one high school kid. That's not the school that we're at. We
Right.
want to develop. We want to develop at a high level, and we want to retain our players so that not only they can get to their degree, but we can build that culture and that standard that's going to be here for years and years and years. The transfer portal, there's a reason why those players are in the portal. It's our job as a coaching staff to figure out why. Was
Right.
it because they went to a school that they weren't prepared for and they weren't good enough? And was it a school that was too far away from home and they're coming back? Was it where was there this? And so we have to do our homework. And the transfer portal for me is just too volatile to bank on that and bringing someone in to a culture that might not mesh well.
Right.
If you lose a recruit to someone in our conference that is a really, really good player, if you lose the right player if you lose the right player to a different school, they might beat you one time a year as a pitcher. If it is a position player, they might beat you 3 times a year. If you recruit the wrong player, they will beat you every single day that you step on the field for practice, games, and in your program. So it's upon us to do our homework and make sure that we find the right fit every single day. And if we do our homework and we do a really good job in the high school level and bring in the right players, like I said earlier, of getting the
Yep.
right kids on the bus, we shouldn't have to go to the portal as much as we need to. And now all of a sudden, Pepperdine is our retention rate is really high. Our graduation rate is really high. And don't get me wrong, like we love our transfers. We love the transfers we brought in. We have some guys that went out to big Power 4 schools and now they're back home. And we really want to recruit Southern California, but we have some great players from the East Coast. We have some great players from Texas. We have some great players from Colorado and the Pacific Northwest. We have a great infrastructure for bringing in anybody and everybody to this school, but it has to be the right fit.
Yeah. And obviously you're in year 2 going on 3, right? So you might be
Yep.
doing things differently at the beginning than you're going to do 5 years from
Correct.
now.
Correct.
Final question then is Mohegan Sun Coaches Convention is a big thing out here in the East Coast. And they sponsor the podcast. They've been great. So this is kind of the Mohegan Sun segment. So I'm
Yep.
going to ask you, and I think the whole time we've spent together, it could be this answer already, but to a kid who was a sophomore in high school, a junior in high school, his parents, whatever, that would love to play college baseball, would love to play wherever, UC Davis, Pepperdine, whatever the case
Yep.
is there any one or two things you say, hey, if that is your goal, you must be doing this thing or these things to get
Yep.
to that?
Yeah. First and foremost, it has to be school. The GPA for me is going to keep doors open. I know for a fact from being around UC Davis that the GPA is going to close that door as quickly as possible. It's the same thing
Right,
here at Pepperdine. The GPA for us is going to close that door quicker than how you play and how you react to bad situations.
right,
For instance, we have academic money, and if I were to tell a freshman in high school, I'm going to give you $400,000 right now for you to get a 4.0 GPA your whole high school year. Your whole high school career, I'm going to give you $400,000 right now. I'm pretty sure that a high school freshman would take that.
right,
If you do that, you're going to get a $100,000 scholarship to Pepperdine for 4 years. I think they would take that.
right.
So that is something to keep in mind. Now, if you don't have a 4.0, that's fine. There's another fit for you. I was at San Francisco State, where it's a state school system. You can get in with a 3.0. We at Pepperdine, we can get a 3.0 in. Now, are you going to struggle while you're here? It's going to take a lot of work to make sure that you're staying up with your studies. And we have the resources, we have tutors, and we have advisors, and we have study hall and all those things to make sure that you're reaching towards your degree. But academics is really important. The other thing is you have to make sure that if whatever your goal is, every single day and every decision you make, you are making that decision based upon your ultimate goal. If you want to play division baseball, you have to make every decision you have to ask yourself, would a Division I baseball player be making that decision? And would you do that? If you want to be a Division I baseball player, are you going to go to the Mohegan Sun every day and go to the poker room? Probably not.
No,
Now, every once in a while, you can go and do it once every once in a while. But if you wanted to be a Division I baseball player and you don't want to go to the cage every day and you don't want to go to the weight room every day and you don't want to make sure that you're watching Major League Baseball, I think going and watching Division I baseball as a high school player, if there's a Division I program within a half an hour drive from you, you need to go watch Division I
amen,
baseball.
amen.
Go see what it looks like. Go see what you're going to be up against. Because if you're thinking that you're going to walk into a Division I program as a freshman and play right away when you're 150 pounds
Right.
and that alone is going to get you in the door, you're wildly mistaken. So you need to go watch Division I baseball. Every decision you make needs to be up against your goals, and you need to follow through with that. Are there going to be days where you're not going to want to do it? That's fine. But it can't be a long period of time where you're saying, I don't want to do it, or I'm going to take a day off. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I'm ready to be recruited. Well, guess what? Everybody else that wanted to be a Division I athlete has already been stacking up day after day after day after day after day. And I think it's really important to separate yourself. How do you separate yourself from all of the other players across the country that want to be a Division I baseball player? You have to be able to separate yourself. And I think that's really important to know. Is that really hard? Yes. Division I baseball is really hard.
Right.
It's going to get harder and harder every single year from here on out. So how do you separate yourself? And that's, I think, is really important to understand.
Yeah, I think you're going to watch games in person is huge because I can watch your Pepperdine team play on a computer on TV, and it's not going to give me any of an idea of how fast the guys are, how big, the whole thing, and to see it in person. And, here in the Northeast, definitely plenty of Division ones. We got UConn, BC, Northeastern, et
Yep.
cetera. But like
Yep.
the D3 baseball around here is good. MIT had a
Really
guy
good.
throwing 97 last year, and it's one of the top schools in the country. So, like, you're
Yep.
right. People got to get out there and see what it's like. But Tyler,
Correct.
this was absolutely awesome. You're the man. I'm so
Thank
awesome,
you.
happy to get to meet a guy like you. Maybe
Thank you.
I've been to campus way back when, but if I'm ever out on the coast again, I'm coming out and gonna catch a game or a practice. So I appreciate your
More
time.
than more than welcome anytime. Would love to have you out. And there's anybody on that's listening to this podcast, you guys can reach out to me with any questions you have. I'm an open book. We have no secrets within this program. I would love to help anybody as much as I can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Game Plan Podcast, and hope you enjoyed my conversation with Tyler LaTorre. Again, this is Wayne Mazzoni. For more information about my recruiting business, please visit my website, collegebaseballadvisor.com. And I look forward to seeing you on future episodes of the podcast. Thanks so much.